Hello, and welcome to Talk About. This week's episode is going to be in conjunction with our next Punchlines episode. Whether or not this comes out before or after will depend on how our conversation goes. But we'll be talking about a little bit about the shoot itself as well, and its person here. But the movie we're talking about, well, not initially an influence, ended up being kind of a perfect fit for it. And I decided, since I want to try and always talk about, movies and stuff as well, we could shed some light on this cult classic comedy from 1985, and that is Clue.
Every person in this room has the perfect motive.
Stand back!
For murder.
What do you mean? Murder.
But only one of these suspects is the murderer. Is it the timid Mr. Green?
Why are you screaming? Because I'm frightened! What? Screaming!
Or the militant Colonel Mustard?
If I was the killer, I would kill you next.
Huh?
Said if.
Mrs. White, who helped her husband on his way?
Well, it's a matter of life after death. Now that he's dead, I have a life.
Miss Scarlet, who's helped many men along the way?
Practice makes perfect. Huh.
Professor Plum, who's looking for a way?
I'm looking.
Mrs. Peacock?
I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, but I am determined to enjoy myself.
Or did the butler do it?
No.
Paramount Pictures invite you to an evening of mystery.
Let us in! Let us in! Let us out! Let us out!
Murder.
This is getting quite serious.
And madness. In the movie that makes a scene of the crime.
So who did it?
Clue. It's not just a game anymore.
The Parker Brothers game. Possibly the best board game turned movie adaptation there is. Because there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah, they need to make a Monopoly.
They've actually planned that before.
Have they?
They've thought about it and planned it, and then it never goes past that initial that'd be a fun idea stage.
No one gets Boardwalk and Park Place.
Yeah, no.
It's salty.
I know they had someone mentioned the casting for Mr. Moneybags, whatever his name is. I think it's Uncle Moneybags, something like that.
That's fine.
But yeah, it never kicked to the ground. This movie actually, I heard in 2016 this was the case. Not much really come out since, but they actually have been planning a remake with currently Ryan Reynolds being one of the ones attached to produce and star.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
We'll see if that ever happens, because that happens a lot. We're we're thinking about it, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, or it takes a really long time from when they first talk about it.
Yeah, if anyone ever mentions a movie's in development hell, that means that there's no chance of it being made anytime soon. No one's, barely anyone's working on it. It's just, in a file somewhere, and it exists.
Yeah.
But this film, Clue, kind of comes out of nowhere. It's 1985. We've kind of gone past murder mysteries, and we're kind of more into, crime thrillers. But all of a sudden, this movie gets pitched and brought forth based on the Parker Brothers game, Clue, starring a myriad of actors, some of whom I forgot were in this, Christopher Lloyd's in this.
Yeah, I saw him and I was just Marty!
Yeah, going through, Christopher Lloyd's in this, Tim Curry's obviously in it. Tim Curry being the third choice they had for his role.
Who did they have initially? Ryan Reynolds?
No, the first one was an old school actor who, unfortunately... No, I actually have the notes, and I will pull it up as we go through.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually surprised on who all was playing in it, because I was looking at the cast, and I saw that Michael McKean, who was playing Mr. Green, was playing in it, and I was just watching Better Call Saul. And
yeah, you kind of forget that's him. It's oh yeah,
brother, and I was oh, that's really cool.
Oh, that asshole's in. I guess spoilers if you haven't seen Better Call Saul, but I feel spoiling the person's character.
Well, it's spoilers if you haven't seen Clue too.
Yeah, that's the big thing. If you haven't seen this movie from 1985, it is the title of this episode. Maybe don't watch it. If you haven't, I'd say go watch it and then watch this, and then go watch this a second time, or third or fourth.
Yeah.
However many you want.
And like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Except for one of the other ones where I brought that up very briefly and like tasseled, because I know there's a lot of people, they don't like whenever people on YouTube say like and subscribe and all that, and I get it.
Yeah, I just say it satirically.
Yeah, I get it. At the same time, it is a person's livelihood half the time. It's like, don't be super mean about it. Don't be like, oh, why do they always fucking say like and subscribe? Like, I don't know, maybe it's because they're trying to get viewers so they can make money off of it.
Here, dislike and unsubscribe.
Yeah, dislike, unsubscribe, throw it in a trash can.
Both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Post it on your social media saying, guys, look how horrible this video is.
Yeah, because no one ever clicks on things we say it's bad.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
Of course. Did you see, speaking of bad, have you seen that Tom, like, not to take away from Clue or anything like that, did you see that, like, Tommy Wiseau, they're making a new movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with him and Cesario.
The other dude.
Okay.
Anyway.
So quick aside.
We will get into the actual movie, I promise.
Okay.
But just to placate Dara wanting to jump ahead, the arguably probably the main character of the film, though it is very much an ensemble piece, is Wadsworth the butler, played by Tim Curry. Mm-hmm. The original choice was Leonard Rossiter, who unfortunately died before filming, so they couldn't use him. He was their original choice they were going to do.
What else did he pull in? I never heard of him.
He's an English actor. He had a long career in theater, but achieved his greatest fame for his television comedy roles, most notably starring as Rupert Rigsby in Rising Damp from 1974 to 1980. Yeah, not more older school, like not
you
someone.
Said Leonard, I was like, ooh, Leonard Nimoy. It's like
that would be nice. Although I don't think
that'd be awesome.
Oh, he did have a supporting role in 2001: A Space Odyssey as a Russian scientist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was a supporting role.
I love that movie.
He appeared in a television play called The Year of the Sex Olympics, so clearly this is a guy with a high pedigree.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of movie.
But he was first. He died before filming commenced. Their second choice was a relatively unknown, at least in America, like not someone big, but they really wanted, and that was Rowan Atkinson.
Oh.
Yeah.
He sounds familiar. What is he?
Unknown at the time, because I feel like he's made more of
this
a...
man.
You'll recognize him.
Yeah.
What are you playing? Oh, yeah, Mr. Bean.
Yeah, and I'll put a picture up to show everyone else. Yeah,
And,
Mr. Bean.
You would have been so good
Rat
in it.
Race.
Yeah.
Rat Race.
So they were like, we can't get the first guy we wanted, because even though he was big, he's dead. We can't get the other guy we want, because he's not that well known. So we'll just go for, I don't know, Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Which, in hindsight, is really funny, because I'm pretty sure Tim Curry was still a pretty good star, and also really known for his comedy chops. I mean, he started off in Rocky Horror, which is all about that.
Was that before Clue or after Clue?
Rocky Horror was way before.
Oh,
he's much younger than that. In
that.
fact, he was in the original stage productions of that.
Oh, okay.
And then was in the film. He was one of the few casts from the original stage production who got transferred over.
I
Because no one else could do it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, that's definitely one I want to talk about at some point, because there's a lot to that. But it is weird, because that movie also takes place in a mansion where he is the one in charge of the party.
Yeah.
And like has all the power and control of the situation, seemingly. Then everything goes haywire. So like it seems like a natural fit.
Yeah.
But they really were just kind of like, okay, we'll just do Tim Curry.
Was that after or before It? Was
it was after that, because it was made in the 80s, but it I believe was before this movie.
Okay.
But yeah, so this movie kind of comes out of nowhere. Not only is it based on a board game, but it's also a murder mystery and a comedy, and it's not really a parody of murder mystery, because it does the murder mystery pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of forgot how, like, no, this is filmed and looks like a murder mystery.
Yeah, especially, like, at the beginning.
Yeah, like, they really build up atmosphere.
And then it just, like, turns into a comedy.
Yeah, like, as it goes on, it gets more slapstick and silly, but part of that is more the unnervedness of how outlandish things are getting, as opposed to just, like, a joke about the fact that people are being murdered. Like, no, people are getting murdered, and it's serious.
And it's like the characters that they put into the serious situation. You know? It's like these absurd characters who overreact to things or react in odd ways.
Yeah, it sounds like a little something we might have done.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I will say, though, again, was not thinking of Clue when that skit was planned. If you haven't...
maybe you should have.
But yeah, like, it's one of those things where, like, you come up with an idea, then you look and like, oh yeah, this is already done. It's a good thing, like, this is just a small comedy skit on YouTube, because otherwise I might have to worry.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's how it is with a lot of things because for rewatching the movie, my friend gave me this book called 10 Little Indians.
Oh yeah,
It's
the
basically
Agatha
the same-
Christie one.
Yeah, it's like made in like the 30s or something.
Which I
like
think
that.
has a new title now because they were like,
Oh
can't
yeah,
say
because
10 Little
like,
Indians
that's
anymore.
kind of racist.
Yeah, like
so it's called like
that whole poem, if I remember correctly.
and
is
then
kinda weird.
oh no
Yeah, and then there were none.
Yeah, there were multiple.
When I read it, it was and then there were none.
Yeah,
That's
that's
like
read
the
it.
new title, I think.
Which is
They're
honestly kind of a better title.
it
Like
is
it
a better
sounds
title.
way more menacing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember loving that book.
Yeah, it's a really good murder mystery, and of
Yeah.
course the big like murder mystery movie that this movie is kind of playing off of is another Agatha Christie novel, Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah,
I haven't
that-
seen the most recent one, but I've seen. I don't.
The
know
over the
what
top, like super like Hollywood looking one, which is fine. It was
What
just
was
like
the original one?
the original
How
one.
many did they make?
There's I can only think of off the top of my head the first one that's like I think the 70s.
Yeah,
Or the
I
60s.
think that's the one that I saw.
Yeah, that's
It's definitely the original
adaptation.
one.
And that's like the big one everyone knows.
Yeah.
And so this movie does actually play a lot like that in the way of the whodunit, which I mean, the Parker Brothers game is kind of playing off of those old novels as well, with these like extravagant characters. But just kind of going into the movie itself, the kind of simple way of saying the plot is that a group of people who all seemingly are not connected but are all actually very much connected are invited to a party at a mansion on top of a hill. They don't know who it is or why, and once they get there, things seem to become clear, and then murder happens.
Yeah, they're basically just called there saying that it would be to their benefit to attend it.
Yeah.
To like attend the dinner or whatever.
And when you first meet each of these people, and we'll kind of go down the list of the characters in order of, if I remember correctly, how they appeared, holding off on Wadsworth as he is kind of the main one in charge of it. But we'll start with Colonel Mustard, who's the first one to arrive of the guests. And Colonel Mustard...
This doesn't help, it's like an old picture of him.
Oh yeah.
So you don't know what he looked like. I can't remember.
Let's see.
Oh, never mind, I remember who he was.
Yeah, Martin Mull, Colonel Mustard. Jean Parmesan, if anyone who's watched Arrested Development.
I've watched an episode, but I don't
Wow.
see that.
Can't talk.
Yeah. No, I didn't say I didn't like it, I just said I haven't like watched.
Well, that's the same, because John Parmesan is right here. No,
Well, we have a surprise for you.
Yeah, just one of the dogs just hop up.
and he just comes out sobbing
Yeah.
because you don't watch the show. That's all he has to do anymore.
He's like, Dara, you're my biggest I'm the biggest fan of yours, and you don't watch my show. Who are you?
But Colonel Mustard is kind of a boisterous, bumbling actual colonel. I'd say he's kind of the most hapless of the group, aside from maybe Mr. Green, but Mr. Green's a little bit more like charming about it. He just kind of comes across a little bit like an asshole, a little trying to control a situation he can't.
Yeah, he comes across kind of dumb.
Yeah, he comes across kind of dumb.
There's a scene where he's like talking to Tim Curry. He's like, I don't need you.
Yes.
Why are you trying to make me look like an idiot? And then Tim Curry is like, no, you don't need any help with. You don't need my help with that. And then the Colonel's like,
"Thank you."
that's right. Yeah.
But
Thank you.
yeah, like he is kind of the one that gets pushed around a lot in this, which is funny because he is the one who I think technically should have the most authority.
Yeah.
Because he is the actual colonel. Like there's Miss Peacock, but her power is more from her husband.
Yeah.
But there's first with him, and probably of the main crew, probably my least favorite, just because like, well, there's funny stuff that's being done to him. He himself is not as funny as some of the other ones. But then we have coming in next is Miss White.
I think she's my favorite.
She starts as my least favorite just because she doesn't do a ton, but I like the stuff with her. Then by the end, she has some of my favorite laughs in the entire thing.
Which one is she?
She's the one who most likely killed and castrated her husband.
Oh,
With like
okay.
the little hair, her little hair.
Yeah, her hair's like all
she's
weird.
kind of like this
the
all the
black
time.
hair? The black hair?
Yeah,
Like kind
yeah,
of like
she's in all
squint
black.
mouth and wide eyes, like
Yeah,
Okay.
looking around and
like she seems the most obviously a killer.
Yeah.
she's so
But in none of
funny.
the endings is she the killer.
It's just the way she holds herself throughout, and she's just like, look. And then there was this moment near the end of the movie, and I can't remember. I think it was like a scream that she did or something.
Is it the one after he turns the lights off, turns back on, and Mr. Green asks her a question? She just like lets out another scream. It's just like tiny.
Yeah,
Weird.
I think so. But it was just like, it was so perfect.
Yeah.
And even though like I had liked her character throughout, just because she's just like odd.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay, favorite character.
Yeah, like, she really kicks it up. And the weird thing is, review-wise, when this came out, it was a lot of mixed reviews, and none of it was like super praiseworthy. There were some real negative ones, mainly about the gimmick, because this movie does have 3 different endings, which if you watch it now, usually it has all 3 stitched together. But originally, there were 3 different endings shown in different theaters, so that people would have something to talk about, thinking different things happened.
I thought that was really cool,
Yeah,
marketing wise.
like
Just like sort of like rewatching it. Or
some
something.
reviewers were like, oh, it's just so gimmicky. I'm like, yeah, but it's a fun gimmick, and it's
Yeah,
a movie based on a Parker Brothers game. It can be a little gimmicky.
Yeah, and those, I mean, it's a cult classic now.
Yeah,
I mean, at
it's
least I would
gained
say.
a huge following since then. But yeah, Mrs. White, who shows up and is a widow who most likely has killed her last husband and the last husband and probably the last couple husbands.
What did she say about husbands? Husbands are like Kleenex or something to be used briefly.
Yeah, and then you're done with them.
disposed of.
Yeah. Like again, she seems the most like probably a killer, but again, not the one in this case usually. Even in the ending where she is one of the murderers, it was like 1, like
Right.
not that bad.
Right.
But yeah, she shows up, and then we're followed by Miss Scarlet and Professor Plum, who technically arrive together. We're first introduced to Miss Scarlet, whose car has broken down the road, and Professor Plum drives up, picks her up, and they find out they're going to the same place. And I think this scene kind of really encapsulates both their characters, because Miss Scarlet goes to check her car, realizes it isn't working, looks back out, there are headlights coming, and from the way I took it, she sees that, turns back around, bends over to go at her thing, because she knows it will stop the person. Because Miss Scarlet, as you find out, essentially runs, I think, a brothel. Like the way they talk about it sounds like a brothel, or at least a network of prostitutes.
Yeah, it's basically, it seems like she's kind of the madam of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, which is pretty high power in a place full of politicians who probably sleep around a lot.
Well, that's what she said at one point, right?
Yeah.
Like she had dirt on every politician in town, basically.
Yeah. And then Professor Plum, played by Christopher Lloyd, surprisingly maybe one of like on the lower echelon of the characters for me, just because he doesn't do a lot.
There's one part, like one of the endings, like when like they reveal that Tim Curry is the killer swoop.
One of 3 potential spoilers.
Yeah. There's like they're like going through like who killed who, because like they all killed someone, and then Christopher Lloyd's character, he's like, then who did I kill? He killed like who did he kill? Like he killed like Tim Curry's butler or something.
Yeah, he
just
shot
like an innocent
Mr.
person.
White.
Just like someone. It's like oh.
But who he thought was
Who he thought was
a
a
body.
Yeah. And
he's not like a particularly funny character.
Yeah, which is
he's
sad
not
because we
funny.
know he
No.
can be.
Yeah.
We've seen him be.
Well, was this before or after?
This was what
This was probably before.
I mean, his first role was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Which
I
like
liked
amazing
that.
role on that.
Yeah. I liked
One I'd love to talk about because I've read the book too. But he hadn't really. I think the Taxi. He's done Taxi. He's done One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Taxi.
It was an old show about taxi cab drivers. I believe it was kind of a comedy. I have never actually seen it. I just know that that's one of the other big things he was known for. So he kind of established himself as a comedic actor as well as a serious actor. But the thing is, I think his role might have been funnier to audiences before, because now he just kind of seems like a perverted asshole.
He's just a skeeve.
Yeah, like
that's true.
He's a psychologist who
like all
he
his
is
jokes are how ski, like every
his jokes are how sexually assaulted he is.
Yeah,
he does it all the time.
Like,
blatantly.
there's like the moment when he's moving the maid onto the couch and he's just like grabbing her butt, and pushing her. Like, I'm just like, huh?
Yeah, those are like jokes that don't.
They don't
age well.
They don't age well.
Yeah.
However, the one thing
Especially,
I will
like,
give
ones
is, you know what? The fact, like 1985, because I'm watching it, it says it's in the 50s. It says it once, and you kind of forget because until the end, it doesn't really become relevant. But like, I was like 85 and seeing him doing like, yeah, thinking about all those like teenage comedies in the 80s. There's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's really bad looking at now. But then I was like, but this is all taking place in the 50s. So like, yeah, he can just be blatant and no one's gonna do anything. And like, it just makes you kind of like, ah, man. Like, in some ways, he's kind of like the worst one because he's unrepentant about it. Unlike the other ones, he like the blackmail really doesn't seem to bother him too much. And he's still being lecherous right there. The first scene when him and Scarlett show up and the storm hits, they turn around. There's a shot just of him grabbing her ass and her just like being pissed. And it's not really played for a laugh in terms of like him doing it. The thing I found funny is just like, I just like laughed uncomfortably. Like, wow, you just like, we're just going hard on this.
You just did that.
You just did it right up. You don't even care. And like, it's real weird.
Yeah.
And it's Christopher Lloyd. And I'm like, thinking of Doc Brown. And like, maybe that's why he became a mad scientist. Like, this whole thing happened. And then I'm like, oh man, it's weird. But so we have him and then Scarlett. And Scarlett, while not having as many like super like silly stuff happen, has some really good like cutting sarcasm with her.
Yeah.
And is also in one of the endings the murderer. And in her case, when she's the murderer, like we said, running essentially either a brothel or even just a network of prostitutes in Washington and having all that dirt and power, she's just using this to get rid of her contacts who might screw her over, as well as kind of framing and using some of the people that she's blackmailing. And hers is the only one that ties into all the overarching political ideas. Because as we find out with all these people that their ties are all into politics, particularly with Washington. They all either work for Washington in some way or have like ties to Washington, and they kind of tie into secret military things, and J. Edgar Hoover's a big part.
I thought it was really funny when he was saying that, no, communism is just a red herring.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
so like the other endings purposely bring up the fact that those plot threads are put out, but they only matter in one ending, and they say like, no, those are all red herrings. They don't matter in these other ideas.
But what's the red herring in Miss Scarlett's ending? Does she have
I think that's what the communism one is, and it's the one that's just used as a joke instead of like, oh, these plot threads don't matter, because they ask her something about that, and
I think they say, oh, you're a communist, and she says, no, communism's a red herring. I'm just gonna sell these secrets to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I'm a capitalist through and through.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Because
she's like, the oldest profession, prostitution, that's capitalism. You make money off of anything you can. So hers is the most plausible, and I think that's why it was the most liked by critics. And they like each one gets sillier, and my favorite is the silliest one, which surprise, surprise. In the comedy, I like the silly ending.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Yeah, like but Miss Scarlett, who kind of is, if I had to say who were like the main players in figuring out the mystery, is her and Wadsworth do the most like work of like finding stuff and doing stuff.
Yeah, I would say she's the secondary character, main character
like,
after Wadsworth.
If you had to pick main characters, go Wadsworth, then Scarlett.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, with those two, we have Miss Peacock.
Oh yeah.
Who's the most interesting to me in the sense that, like, one, she is one of the two potential killers in ending 2. And when she becomes the killer, she is the most menacing to me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, it's just because like she just completely changes.
She has the biggest turnaround.
Yeah.
Right, because Miss Scarlett is always, she's the same person.
Yeah.
She just is like, admits, okay, yeah, you're right, I killed them, and I did it for this reason, but she was kind of like this the whole time.
Yeah, she was already like that.
Whereas Miss Peacock was like, woo!
Yeah, she's all squeamish.
And then suddenly she was like, yeah, I did it. And like, whoa!
Yeah, like she was terrified.
Like, she wasn't just lying, she was putting on a whole act.
Yeah. So hers is like the most menacing ending, which I kind of like, especially the way that they deal with it. And Tim Curry's character was quick thinking of like, no, it's great. You're like, no, we're all for it. Go ahead, just walk out the door.
Thanks
for he's a jolly good fellow. Like,
yeah.
And like,
I like how into the song everyone
everyone gets into it.
They start with like free, and by the end they're like, and nobody can deny it.
And I kind of wanted, as soon as the door closed, for that to be the end.
That's what I was actually thinking, because I hadn't seen it in such a long time. I was like, when are they gonna cut it? It was like
the whole song.
Yeah. Like, that would have been my favorite thing. Just like they close the door and they're singing, and then the credits just start rolling.
Yeah. It's like she got away with it.
Yeah. But so her character is the one who like does the most talking at the beginning, and then kind of devolves into the one who's screaming the most. And the one who gets slapped, because this is not only was this an 80s movie, this is a 50s movie technically, because when it takes place, and she gets that slap into
Yeah, that airplane slap.
Yeah,
the
well,
airplane's like snap out of it.
Well, the airplane makes fun of the fact that like that's the way they always handled it. But like this is where if you watch old 50s movies.
That's true.
Oh, you're hysterical, smack. They do that to soldiers too whenever like they get shell shocked.
Yeah.
I liked how it happened, right? And then everyone kind of reacted in a modern way of like, whoa. And he was like, well, I had to get her to shut up somehow. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, which is funny.
And then they just moved on.
Right before that is he's the one who openly reveals he's gay, and everyone's like, oh. Like, it's really weird.
I thought it was Colonel Mustard that slapped her. No, it was Mr. Green?
No, it's Mr. Green.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Green slaps her, which is funny when you think, when you think about it.
I thought it was like Professor Plum or something.
No, it's Mr. Green.
Like something he would do.
Yeah, it's the one who doesn't seem like would do it.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, it's kind of interesting given, like, 2 seconds later, he revealed he was gay, which is, like, the least much of an issue out of all the other things for blackmail, and everyone just kind of like moves away from him and treats him like really badly.
Yeah, he says, and he's sitting on the couch with, was it Professor Plum?
And Professor Plum just gets up and walks.
Well, they might have just done that for comedy's sake.
Well, no, yeah, because it is 50s, and like in the 80s, like gay rights was starting to come up. Yeah. And so like there's an interesting juxtaposition that like they treat that one like the 50s and they treat the slap like the 80s. But also, that slap does happen a second time. I think it's in one of the endings where the second slap happens, or it's right before the ending hits. And the second one, I realized, man, he is not even close to hitting her face. Like, you can see just, like, right there, and but that hard smack there, like, they're a little fast and loose with the filming, which this movie was on a budget of $15 million, and it only made, like, $14.5 million back. Mm-hmm. So it, like, undersold just a bit.
Was there a part where they were, like, physically fighting with each other?
Yeah, there is a scene there's like a kind of a fight scene in there.
Someone pokes someone else in the eye.
Yes, that is Mr. Bobby, I believe, who pokes the guy in the eye, Colonel Mustard, because they're trying to keep him there, and he just goes up and just pokes Colonel Mustard in the eye.
When they find out he's the blackmailer, and they start like beating him up.
And Scarlett knees him in the balls.
Yeah, and it looks so
it's real bad.
fake.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if that's intentional because 50s fighting looks that fake or not. Right. And luckily with comedies, it can be both. Yeah, it can always be both. But yeah, the fighting itself, like the slapstick's really good. The actual fighting is really bad.
Right.
But so you have Miss Peacock, who her only real tie is her husband, but then you find out she is like basically using her husband's authority and power and basically being a liaison between foreign powers and him. With an interesting like reveal of there are a lot of scenes where they put the clues in place, and this is like shows that it is a murder mystery and they do a good job. They put the clues in place, but they don't tell you what that clue actually is until the end with the chilled monkey brains for dessert. She's the only one eating it.
Oh, right.
No one else is eating it. No one's even offered it. And it doesn't look like anything, so you don't know what it is. And at the end, they reveal chilled monkey brains, and that's how they solved it. And like, it's clear like they don't want you to solve it because the ending could be anything.
Yeah. Right.
So they put clues that you're like, that looks like a clue, but I have no idea what it is because I'm not getting the info. But the characters are, which is the opposite of how it usually goes.
Yeah.
Usually you give the audience more info than the characters, so the characters get revealed, but you already have an idea.
Right.
They do the opposite in this one, and I kind of think that works to the advantage because it makes you still like, I have no idea who's going to be, what's going on.
Yeah, it's more for like entertainment because I remember like even reading, and then there was one. I can't completely remember how it ended, but I just remember like enjoying reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like if you read those Agatha Christie novels, when you get to those murder reveals, and they go through all the ways that they pulled it off, and it's like ingenious, but also kind of like, man, I don't know how anyone can plan this out. And whenever they do the scene where they reveal everything in this, like you're just like, yeah, I don't know how. Like all of a sudden Tim Curry's like Sherlock and just knows everything. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, how he figured it out is kind of like, but it was also like the way I noticed while I was watching, and I think because you had told me that there were multiple endings.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what they were going to be. I just knew that, okay, there's going to be multiple possibilities.
Yeah.
And so I really noticed how they left it open-ended. Like, they never revealed any kind of clue that would implicate a specific person ahead of time in any situation.
Yeah, they very purposely, like, here is a vague clue, but it's not for you. Right. But there's clues here, and there's plot threads that could or could not add up to something.
Right.
They do that a lot throughout it, which I do feel like, while it's not parodying those murder mysteries, it does kind of, like, showcasing, like, why in those novels stuff they have to be so explicit about what the actual stuff is, because it can really throw you off. there's a lot of red herrings.
Yeah.
Which I find funny that they use red herrings since the 50s and talking about communism and like
Yeah.
Russia. Like there's a lot of that. But yeah, back to Miss Peacock. Kind of like her real role is talk a lot, but say nothing, scream a lot, and then maybe revealed to be a horrifying murderer. Like that's kind
She's
of
just
it.
like the grandmother.
Yeah, like
of the group.
but her screams are very obnoxious.
Oh yeah.
She's very good at just like screaming a lot. But going from her, we have Mr. Green, who aside from Miss White, especially whenever she starts having the stuff towards the end, Mr. Green might be my favorite just in the sense, well, Wadsworth's the most entertaining, but I think Mr. Green's the most interesting to me in the fact that he doesn't do a lot through this movie. He's just the one who didn't do it, and he's just like always like real scared.
Do it.
And technically, he never does do it in any of the endings.
No. Yeah.
He's the one with the least like important of a blackmail situation in terms of like a modern audience looking at it, and he's also the one with the biggest moral code, which is I think is why the last ending I like so much, because like the one thing that does make sense is, oh yeah, he would be the good guy, like
Right. And his blackmail has nothing to do with something bad he did.
yeah, it's just
Everyone
who he
else
is.
did something shady or is in
Yeah.
a shady business or something, and he is just like gay. And
Yeah.
he never actually did anything wrong.
And he also is straight up like, hey, I'm gonna just say what I did. I don't need you to read it off. Like,
Yeah.
this is what it is. And if you have a problem with that, that's fine. And he sits down and like again, everyone shuns him horribly.
Yeah.
Like it's a little like unnerving. Like whoa, like everyone's like, oh, you did this and this, and they're all like talking about
Yeah,
it.
right.
And like it's him. They don't say a word. They just like look at him like he's some alien thing. And it's just like whoa, we're getting real
but
serious.
when they were talking about how she sold government secrets.
Yeah, and we're just like giving her snide remarks, but like whoa.
I thought it was really funny when they were like splitting up in pairs to like search the house.
Yeah.
And like
The
they're,
guys
like,
want to go with the
guy
maid, and
was
he's like, no thanks.
He's like, no thanks.
And then they end up going together.
I'm scared. Who wants to go with me? I don't know what she is.
Her very faux French accent.
Wasn't Professor Plum was like comparing his match to all the girls? Like,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah.
come on, come on.
And then he gets Miss Peacock,
Yeah.
and he
She has,
doesn't
like, the
oversell
longest
it. You can just she just like looks at it and is like, guess that's it. Because like I am like seeing how that scene goes. He probably wouldn't have cared. He would have preferred the other ones, but like they don't make him be like, oh, I got the older lady. It's like, I would have preferred the other ones. It's just like, whoa, Christopher Lloyd. No wonder you bought that plutonium from those like terrorists in the Middle East. That's another topic. Like,
Yeah, that's a different movie.
yeah, it's a different movie, but well, can we just touch on that? They're like, again, Back to the Future, like Christopher Lloyd, even when he plays a charming character, does some real shady shit in every movie he's in that I can think of. Because like Back to the Future, he bought plutonium from terrorists, known terrorists who come to America just to get him. And then they never address it in any of the other movies.
Well, I mean, when you need plutonium, I mean, where are you gonna go?
I guess
Can't
so.
get it at Target.
The ends justify the means.
Sure. But I still remember my favorite role of his, When Good Girls Go Bad, the ABC Family movie.
What Good Girls
When
Go
when
Bad?
Good Ghouls Go Bad,
Oh, Good
where he plays a
Ghouls.
grandpa who dies
That's
during a
Halloween.
Halloween festival and comes back as a zombie, but like he's really cool about it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's actually a really good movie. I have it on DVD. Yeah, it's actually a really sweet movie where with like the main zombie being like an Edward Scissorhands knockoff teenager, who everyone thinks like made like this sculpture of the devil or something, and it was like horrifying. And like really, he was just a nice kid who no one liked except for Christopher Lloyd. Because Christopher Lloyd's a good person. Like it's a really sweet movie. Anyway, so
She's dreaming.
yeah, one of the dogs keeps dreaming.
Aw.
We go through that. We have Mr. Green, who in one of the endings is revealed to be an FBI agent. And yeah, in that reveal, he also which also I guess makes sense why in the ending where he's an government agent, his blackmail is the least of a problem, where it is just he's gay, because they reveal he's not in that ending. In the other ones, I'm assuming that means it is true, but in that one, it does end with him saying like, "I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife after he bags everybody." Most interesting to me because he doesn't do a lot. He sticks to his morals though, and like at the beginning, he seems to know about these people already. And like almost seems like he's gonna be like a menacing asshole, and then no, he's
Does he already know about the people?
Well, he
He's
brings
the
up
first
Peacock.
one who says something.
Yeah, he
about
brings
it.
up Peacock.
He's the first one who says, "I recognize you."
Yeah, and it's like,
Before
I know your
then, the
husband, I know he
people who
does.
recognize each other hadn't said anything.
Yeah. So like, at first they position him to maybe be a power player here, but then no, he falls to the wayside. And then the last ending, suddenly you realize, oh, that's why. So like they do play with that, which I find really interesting. And then we have, before we get to Wadsworth, because you want to save Tim Curry for last, since he is kind of the big linchpin, we have 3 other supporting characters who are staff. Technically 4 if you count a quick cameo. And these 4 I find really interesting and who they actually are. But we'll start with the maid, Yvette, because she's the one who sticks around the longest. Yvette is a French maid and a very obviously not a real maid's outfit. It looks like the kind you'd expect to see, the sexy French maid thing,
Yes.
with a very faux French accent. Very much damsel in distress type of character. But I love that technically in every ending, she is one of the killers. And like, I'm like, so she's been playing everybody. And like, they kind of reveal that. So that's nice. But man, she is very much a non-character in a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't do much. And her death is the weirdest because it's the noose, but like, they just throw a noose over her and then she's dead. And it's like, and like the way the noose is still hanging down, which means they did it this way. So it got the back of her neck and killed her. Like, how does that work?
It's okay. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, I was also confused by like the miniature conversation that happens right before her death, where the person who kills her
Yeah.
says, like, did they recognize you or something? And she's like, they all recognize me by now, or something. And
Yeah.
she's like, every inch of me, and then like,
Yeah. Wasn't she part of like the prostitution?
yeah,
Yeah, they reveal in the Scarlet's ending that
I
she
don't know
was
why I did air quotes.
the prostitution.
She was an actual prostitute.
Yeah, she's straight up what she is the one Colonel
That's how they
Mustard slept
work,
with.
right?
Like in the Scarlet ending, Yvette has the
she a part of the.
yeah. No, see the
I mean, come on.
she was just
Let's be
playing
real. Was that even a woman?
It was Tim Curry in disguise the whole time.
I knew it.
But yeah, that scene's real weird, and like she drops the French accent, I think. But
She does, yeah.
Like when I watched it, I went over it a couple times. Like I think it's also ADR. I don't even think it's like her actual dialogue in the scene. Like it's real weird, and like the second voice is like, which one of the women is it? And like, by the time I saw it, I was like, oh, there's multiple endings. So like, you probably aren't supposed to tell. It's probably supposed to be just like, oh, we're getting close to the reveal now.
Right, because in one, Scarlet kills her. 'Cause
Yeah.
She's covering up her tracks. In the one, Miss White kills her because she
Slept with her
truly
husband.
was jealous.
Yeah.
And then I guess I forget who killed her in the third one. Was it Miss Peacock?
Well, the one with Peacock, I'm trying to remember, because Scarlet, she does pretty much all the
She does
killing except
every-
for one, I think maybe. Well, her and Yvette do all the killing, but Yvette's working for her.
That's right.
And the Peacock one, Yvette, I think, does some of the killing, working for someone else, and then Peacock does like the second half. It gets more weird and outlandish as they go through the 3.
There's one like part I find so funny. I think it's with Miss White, like towards one of the endings where she's like talking, but it seems like she forgot her lines or something, so she's just like babbling on and on.
There are a couple moments.
I can't
like-
remember where exactly that was, but it was in the ending, and then like Tim Curry like just started talking again. Because
Yeah.
it seemed like she was forgetting her lines, and it's like,
Was
this
it-
is so funny.
wait.
Miss Peacock or Miss
I
White?
think
Because Miss
I
White
think
has
it
the
was
one
Miss
about
White does
the
I
think it was
heaving
Miss
breast
White.
one, where she's just like going up why
When
she
she was so mad about when she admits to killing Yvette,
Yeah, and it just
she
starts to
was
just-
talking, but
Yeah,
she was like,
no.
and I just saw the red curtain. And
Exactly, yes,
and
that's
she
what
just
I was
goes
thinking.
on and on, and I was just like, that's one of the moments where I was like,
Yeah.
yes, so good. It was so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was.
friggin' good. Because also it was perfect because she's the most composed, right? She's like, I can't. This might affect my image in society and things like that. And then suddenly she's just like, and the red, the rage, and then
Yeah,
Well,
she was like moving.
Yeah, and like the line where he
I
cuts her off is
lost it,
the line where
yeah.
she gets cut off, and she's saying about heaving, but she doesn't say breasts, but she's like trying like breaths or something. Like she doesn't quite say it.
Yeah.
And like her hands are going up to her head at this point, and she's
Yeah.
just like losing it. She's the most outwardly
so
trying to
funny.
be composed, but very clearly
So
says like,
funny.
you are not
She's
composed.
insane.
Yeah, she's
I love-
crazy.
She's outwardly composed
Well,
and
like,
inwardly,
I love that
literally.
And
So
all
much.
3 endings, even when she's not the murderer, she did murder her husband, who she chopped off his head and cut off his dick. Like
Yeah, but that's
she's
okay.
terrifying.
That's okay. He probably deserved it.
Honestly, with how all the characters are, probably a lot of these people are not
Well,
good
I
people.
mean, one of them, like, at least one of them, right, slept with Yvette, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I think it was one of the later ones, and at that point she's been attracted to killing her husband
She
pretty
did
quickly,
too.
so why
Yeah.
does she care? Like, that's the funny thing to me in that last one, when she does it out of jealousy. I'm like, was it jealousy or just kind of annoyed that someone else, like, got in on her business? Because, like, she's made a habit of killing off her husbands for no real reason. They're just disposable. Money.
Oh, well, I think it was when she, like, knew her husband was off, and she then, like, maybe found out about this.
Yeah,
this
it may have been a
was.
matter of, like...
But then it's like seeing that woman in person.
It might be
and seeing her heaving.
her heaving. Just like,
you know, just driven to the point of like having to be around that person. That
Yeah, it's probably less like
and
jealousy
she's
and
so
more annoyance.
freaking gorgeous
Yeah.
and so freaking hot. You know what?
Yeah, it's not so much jealousy. She's just really annoyed by it. It kind of reminds me of a Creep Show. If anyone's seen, if either of you've seen Creep Show,
No, it's
ooh,
not.
that's when we have to. It's a horror anthology with George Romero and Stephen King working on it. They're like the old
cool.
Creep Show pulp novels. So it's like they have like this weird like pulpy, like the colors are all weird and they range from like super silly. There's one with like an old rich guy who was killed on Father's Day coming back as a zombie, and then but then there's one with Leslie Nielsen playing a serious role where he's a rich guy whose wife
Wait, who's
is
Leslie Nielsen?
Naked Gun.
Oh, okay. that
Yeah,
guy.
Don't Call Me Shirley. That guy.
Yeah.
The President of the United States for me, because I watched Game Movie 3 a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like,
Yeah.
and he's the best part.
They're picking out their finger. Okay.
Yeah. But it's him, and he plays a rich guy whose wife is having an affair with this other young guy, and they're clearly in love, and he decides to bury them both up to their necks in the sand and let the tide drown them.
No shit.
And it's very terrifying, and he's serious the whole way through, and he's terrifying.
Yeah, wasn't he started out as a serious actor?
Yeah, but then comedy just like really worked
Yeah.
for him really well. And like this is him in the 80s, so like this is Naked Gun era, Leslie Nielsen. But one of the things is with that is he doesn't care that she loves someone else. It's not about him feeling anything for her or anything like that. He just says, you took what was mine. And it's like very just like possessive and also really like cold and evil. And I feel like similarly with Miss White, it's like, you got in on my territory. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
annoyed
that's
at you.
probably-
Like
yeah.
it's that kind of deal. Which to me is much scarier than
Oh, yeah,
someone
no.
like in a crime of
Yeah,
passion where you're just like totally like that's my shit.
Yeah,
Kill
you're
you
just,
like
treating them as an
horribly. Like,
object,
woo.
yeah.
But
I mean, it was a little bit of crime of passion though, based on.
oh
her
yeah,
reaction.
well I think everything she does is passion, like crazy passion. Like
It's
she's
probably like she has emotions. She
Oh,
just
yeah.
suppresses them so hard that they come out in murderous moments.
or she's a robot,
Or
and
she's
that's
a-
why she acts that way.
robot.
She's a robot with AI intelligence because the 50s, they're all that sci-fi shit,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. But so Yvette, kind of a non-character, but actually very important as we go through. And then we have the cook, which I'm gonna pull up who the cook was just to
I
show
think
you.
one of the lines that were like the funniest, it was like, you can't break the, like you have to break eggs to make an omelet. Any cook will tell you that. And it's like, but the cook
cook's
is
dead.
There's so many funny ones.
Yeah, and it's very subtle too.
Yeah, it's like super subtle.
They just gloss right
Dry
over
and
Yeah,
subtle.
yeah.
It feels like a
I
British
love it
comedy
so
and how it
much.
handles that, like old school
If
British
you're not
comedy.
Yeah,
paying
that's true.
attention, you miss
A
so
lot.
much.
Yeah, you miss a lot of
because
jokes.
There's no there's
Yeah.
no moment for people
Yeah.
to get it. They just keep
And
going.
I love that.
So the cook who's barely in it is a Kelly. It's spelled a little weird, but Kelly Nakahara, and she was Nurse Kelly in 165 episodes of MASH. So that was her big
Oh.
thing. Yvette also was a person. Yeah.
She was a person.
Was she though?
That's
But-
all. Was she?
She actually was one who had a lot of comedic stuff as well, including in 1974, she was the lead role in a comedy called The Swinging Cheerleaders, which I've never seen. Does not sound like a comedy. It sounds like something you see late at night. One of those late night documentaries.
With your
She
with your
looks
parents.
like the
With your
kind of
parents.
woman.
Yeah, those late night documentaries.
Yeah, she does look like.
But she also was in 2 installments of Police
Actually,
Academy.
probably too attractive.
She is.
She was in Police Academy. She was
As
in
long as she
Apocalypse
has her
Now.
French accent. Then she was in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, she was in Apocalypse Now.
Oh, really? As what?
So just a supporting part. I'm wondering if she was one of the girls who almost gets raped, because like
Where's her?
Do you remember that scene?
No.
Well, yeah, that. If anyone doesn't remember, it's now maybe weird. It also has some real dark shit.
I didn't know that. Oh
Yeah,
my
they,
God.
they stopped that from happening, and it's like I think it's when the helicopter scene it's a little weirdly cut because it is
I do like that movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, but it is a little weird.
napalm in the morning.
But the best one to me is the Mr. Body, who we'll get to in a moment, and then the singing telegram girl, who only shows up in one
she's
single
so
scene.
funny. Oh my
She shows up in one
God.
scene
So brief.
towards the
That
end,
was so hilarious.
and
That was actually
I'm your singing telegram.
yeah, like, towards the end, the doorbell's rung 3 separate times, and it always ends up being somebody, and things go haywire, and that person gets killed. The 3rd time, though, you had just had 2 murders, the doorbell rings, and you think it's the cops, and it opens it, and it's a singing telegram, and she like starts singing, and then she gets shot. That lady is one of the members of what was it, the Go-Go's? Yeah, the Go-Go's.
Ah.
Yeah, so she's what the
Is that a
rhythm
music group?
Go-Go's are the ones who
Wow.
We Got the Beat.
Huh?
We got the beat,
we
yeah.
got the-
Yeah.
Okay.
The Go-Go's.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
What is she?
she was the rhythm guitarist and backing vocalist for the Go-Go's.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the
That's so
motorist
funny.
who comes in is Jeffrey Kramer, who is he's an actor and producer in a lot of TV stuff. But then the cop is a jazz singer who also did some
so
acting
cool.
stuff. But like, had a big prolific career. Like those 3 cameo roles were actual people. And then
Yeah.
my favorite, Mr. Body, which we'll go ahead and get into. Mr. Body shows up, and you think he's going to be a big character. He's the guy who's been blackmailing everybody, or so we think.
Yeah.
Maybe in one alternate ending, but he shows up. He's a real asshole. He's the least charming. Like, he's purposely looks kind of sleazy. His suit and like the way he looks the least like the 50s to me.
Yeah, he looks he looks
Oh, yeah, he looks.
greasy too.
Yeah,
Yeah, he looks kind of like he might be a mobster or something.
yeah, and he is the first murder, maybe, because they're like he wasn't actually dead, and that whole thing happens. But Mr. Body shows up. That whole thing happens. He's the one blackmailing. He's the one who gives them all packages with their gifts being the weapons that end up being the weapons from the game. But I was surprised and really happy to find out he is played by one Lee Ving, who is the lead singer and lead guitarist for Fear, a punk band from the 80s. Is one of my favorite punk bands.
What songs do they have?
I Love Living in the City, New York's Alright, if you like saxophone. Like, you might not, they're not like a huge one. There's one of those bands like they influenced a lot, but they never got big acclaim. Their biggest thing though is Jim Belushi loved them and got them on SNL, and they trashed SNL and were never allowed back, and it like was a big deal. But it got them a lot of fame.
Yeah,
and
I always think it's so funny, like how some people like just get banned from.
One, how they get banned too.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
yeah.
with Fear,
It's so funny.
they knew it was a punk band known for doing this stuff, and
Yeah.
Jim Belushi's like, come on, we can just let them on. And they're like, all right, fine, we'll let them on. They go on. They do the thing they were gonna do, and they're like, never again. Yeah. But Fear's great. And like, so he plays that, and he gets killed. And that brings us to our last character, the most important character, arguably, Wadsworth, the butler, played by Tim Curry.
Was he the poster boy for this? Was there like a poster?
The
person?
poster, actually, I'll show you both.
Like
The picture is
like an actor or actress that someone's like, oh, I really.
that's
wanna
the cool
see
thing.
because of that.
All these actors were big enough in prominence; they all kind of could help sell it.
Oh, okay.
So it really was an ensemble, and the poster was this.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
just the silhouettes and stuff. Which,
Yeah.
like, I like that. Like, you're not selling off of one of them; it's all of them. And also remember, he's the third choice.
Yeah.
So they really weren't like banking on his name. He just was someone recognizable to him.
Also, the poster, because you like show it. It was just like the mansion with like all the characters.
Yeah, I'll definitely put a picture up. It's
Okay.
like the mansion with like oversized windows and oversized silhouettes of everybody. It's a little bit of a weird poster.
That's a weird movie.
Yeah, it's a weird movie. But so Tim Curry plays Wadsworth the butler. The other one, who not only doesn't have a bad reason he was blackmailed, he also has like a tragic one, and that is he was Mr. Body's butler, he claims, and he is the one who brought everyone together because he was going to expose Mr. Body and get him put behind bars because he's a noble person, and his wife committed suicide because she was getting blackmailed for having friends.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, you kind of forget as the movie goes on. It's like a really tragic story.
Yeah, I know.
And the reason
I'm
why
forgetting all
she
these
was
things.
blackmailed and ended up killing herself is because she had friends who were socialist. and everyone flips their shit at that. And I love it.
Like,
So
yes.
yeah, it's worse than the homophobia thing or like the communism thing. When they say socialist, everyone flips out.
He was a gay socialist.
A gay socialist commie. Oh god, like,
Oh my God.
that would just kill
I
anyone right
can't
there.
handle
But like, so that's his whole thing. But then as it goes on, as you get to the end, the first murder is Mr. Body, technically. But they do make it seem very dubious that he's actually dead. You don't see anything. Professor Plum does it, and they already established Professor Plum. One, he won't even admit what he's a doctor of when he's first asked. And then also he's just an asshole.
Like malpractice as well.
Yeah. And he also slept with that same kilogram girl because that was.
Who was super young.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They don't acknowledge that.
Did they say that?
Yeah, that's why she showed up. The steam kilogram. Whenever
Oh my
when
God.
when she's like putting all the things together, she said that like that was the one he got in trouble for. That he was having an affair with. And yeah, she's pretty young. Yeah, so he's a real
Oh
mom.
man.
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
like all these things that are just like I'm just like.
Yeah, because it goes real fast.
Yeah.
One series of movies that I feel like takes a lot from like the pacing of this is like the Cornetto trilogy with Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead,
yeah.
Hot Fuzz,
Oh yeah.
Will's
those are
End.
great.
Like those are a little bit more dynamic and like in your face.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the subtle stuff reminds me of Clue.
Well, that's also good because it like has more rewatchability.
Yeah, you catch a lot of new
for
things on each watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mr. Body, possibly the definite confirmed first kill is the cook. And then after that, we have two people show up, a motorist whose car broke down, and then a cop afterwards, both of whom get killed after being locked in rooms by the guests because they have no idea how to handle any situation whatsoever.
I like how they just like lock the person in the room and then they have like a loud argument about like
Yeah,
they're dead
right
body,
about
just
that.
like and then the person in the room just like what?
Yeah, and like the defendant Wadsworth locks it the second time on the cop, and there's like, why'd you lock it again? Like we he was gonna leave. We were good.
This
yeah.
time it's just muscle memory.
Yeah.
I have to lock
But like, so Wadsworth, his whole character, he puts it all together. It all seemingly goes wrong, though according to what each of the endings, he either is purposely letting it go wrong to catch somebody or to murder everybody, because he is the one who is really kind of the lead and in control of everything. And it's played by Tim Curry, so he's got that Tim Curry voice through it.
Yeah.
So everything either sounds classy and in charge or menacing.
Yeah, I just remember when like he's like walking through like what happened and like he's like pushing down Mr. Green and stuff like that. And Mr. Green's like, can you stop that? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Just like that Tim Curry, no. He was actually in Psych. Have y'all
Yes,
ever watched
yes.
Psych? And like he did that no in Psych too.
Yeah, they did
No, the other dude did it. The main.
Actually,
I can't
speaking
remember
of which,
his name.
Psych did an episode with not the full cast of this movie, but a good deal of cast, including having a thing at the end for the one who died before they could film it. That was basically Clue. They did a Clue episode. Christopher Lloyd was one of the ones that, yeah.
I like that show.
Yeah, it's a good show. I enjoy it.
I like watched that after Monk stopped airing.
I think a lot of people did.
I was so sad. I was like, I love Monk. Anyway.
But now I was thinking of when you mentioned the crash, when they're running down the stairs and Wadsworth and Mr. Green hit each other, and it's hard. That's the one hit where like that's a real hit. Ooh, they like hit each other and like kind of fling around each
like
other and
flip
fall.
around, yeah.
And it looks painful. Like I'm pretty sure they probably didn't mean for that to happen and just slipped into each other. And,
Like, I mean, to me, it looked like it was practiced because
Well, it
didn't
looked like
seem
it was
it didn't
practiced.
seem like they like made too much contact, and they're like.
I think initially it was practice, but like when you watch it, the way they flip around each
Yeah.
other, they clearly hit a little
Oh,
harder
yeah.
than they thought and like flipped.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I was actually pretty. I was like, oh, that's cool.
yeah, because there was a couple of times in movies where like the stunt they'll be like, all right, actually hit me. Like one of the ones I can think of is Rocky. Sylvester Stallone would constantly insist partway through, like during the boxing scenes, like we should really spar to get some real hits in there. And he did one with Dolph Lundgren, and Dolph Lundgren got in trouble because last time he did that was with Apollo Creed earlier in that shooting process, and Apollo got hurt pretty bad, and like he was not cool with that.
You're
and so he's like, no, you don't want to do this. And then Sylvester Stallone's like, no, come on. It's like fine. So he goes up 1, 2, boom in the chest. And knocks Sylvester Stallone down.
Yeah, it's like, what do you expect?
Yeah, but then Sylvester Stallone had to go to the hospital because it turned out his like the way it hit him was like if he was in a car crash and the steering wheel hit it, like he was really hurt and like his lungs had to like gotten hit so hard by his ribcage they inflamed.
And he's not a weak person.
No.
Damn.
So like you see hits like that, where I'm like they probably had been practicing it.
Like Raging Bull too.
Yeah, so like they'd probably been playing that one single hit, one of the slapstick moments that have been really silly, and they like fly around each other. And a little too hard hit, and it's also like
it's like the director's mind's like, oh, just keep rolling.
Yeah, no, that's what you do.
Golden.
Same with like Tim Curry, where he is like saying stuff and like shouting, and then the candlestick falls right on his head.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm sure his head hurt after a while with that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because like as the movie goes on, the slapstick gets more and more apparent.
Yeah.
But early on,
I really liked like one of the endings when like the chandelier fell and like Colonel Mustard.
Oh
like,
yeah.
We're just like. And then like it just stopped there and
yeah,
that was it.
That's the one thing I've
funny.
never seen the endings without them being stitched together. Because all the versions I end up seeing are stitched together.
I've only seen the main ending with Mr. Green saying, I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife. That's the only one
Well, you see the ending of.
But I've seen the other ones like just.
Oh, that's like you never saw the stitched together version?
No, I never saw the stitched together.
Oh wow!
Until
so
like,
you had
I
the
watched
home,
it right before.
Did you have like the home video release or something? Because I know on some of the home video they did that too.
I went to some movie party and we were watching it.
Okay. Because I know on TV they would do that with different coasts getting different endings, and then some of the home video ones. But then most of the ones, especially now, are the stitched together one. But in the stitched together one, yeah, the one with Colonel Mustard with the chandelier fall, it falls and they cut to the next one. And I'm sure there's more footage after that that like has the credits roll. And I want to know like what's those little parts missing.
I love when they like cut it short. Like they have extra stuff, just like in Doctor Strangelove when he's like, my legs, I can walk. Like I heard like they had more stuff, but they just decided to cut it there, and I was like, that's perfect.
I mean,
I love it. So
Doctor
much.
Strangelove, the whole movie was like the actor wanted to do it serious,
so
and the director's
good.
like, yeah, we'll do it serious, we'll do like you want, but before let's just have fun with it, and then they use all the fun takes, and like he got pissed.
Funny. Like just like the subtitle, which is like how I learned to stop fearing the bomb, or like stop loving it or something. Start loving the bomb.
But
it's such a funny movie.
So, gone through all the characters, the big things in the movie itself. One, I light just went out. Full on half comedy, half mystery. It is the blending is there, but like the scenes. Just thinking of when they're searching through the house, and there's that scene with the mirrors. With Tim Curry. That is a great shot, and that's a cool, like, suspenseful shot. All the shadow work they do whenever Mr. Colonel Mustard first shows up.
Eyes, too, like, they're, like, just
but, like,
lighting and stuff.
At the very beginning, when Colonel Mustard shows up, you just see his shadow on the wall first. And, like, they really play up a lot of the noir and mystery of it. It's really cool.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, like, it's very much made like a murder mystery. And like the scene where Mr. Body tries to leave the place and the dogs like jump on the window. Like there's some genuinely like, oh, these like feel like a serious movie. And then
you know what it's like to like direct animals and just be like, woof woof woof, do that.
Well, I don't know if you know the unspoken rule in filming where like if you can, no animals, no kids, always. Because there's so many illegal contracts and stuff. And one of the reasons a lot of times stuff happens where like animals get abused on sets is the animal just isn't working out, and the reason they get away with like making it do it by basically abusing it is oftentimes someone on the crew sleeps with the animal trainer. That happens a lot. It's a big scandal a lot of times.
I wonder if that's how it was for Ace Ventura.
Well, I know one of the big ones recently was that what was it? Something about a dog's purpose or whatever, about the dog that reincarnates and like saves people, and it's all about how great dogs are. And then like it came out that like they were like abusing the dog to get it to do stuff, and it's like wow. And that's when a lot of the people started putting articles out about like, hey, this has been going on for a long time, like, and there's a reason and like I get on the filmmaker's part of getting frustrated. Well, I mean,
I'm just joking. I have no idea.
The baby in American Sniper, the fake baby heard around the world.
That was so funny. Like,
do you know the story behind
when I was watching it, I didn't like even think about it, but like I was watching reviews about it. I was like, oh yeah, that is a fake baby.
That is a doll. It is just a doll. Did you ever see American Sniper?
I didn't even think anything about it when I was watching it.
Bradley Cooper has a scene where he sees his child for the first time, and he's having this big heart-to-heart. But the doll is like one of those plastic fake ones.
Yeah, it's like
and the reason why. One, Clint Eastwood, despite being known as a perfectionist, when the scene happens, he's like, he's just like, he was fine with it. But they had two babies on set. But the thing is with babies, if you have them in your movie, they can only work for 15 minutes a day. That's it. That's all you get, 15 minutes. So you use, so they had two.
That's why they have twins, is to switch them out.
So they can switch them out if they need more.
For time, and then also if one of them is acting up. But I don't know about 15 minutes. I know it's much, much shorter than everyone else can work, but 15 minutes, But
like a
also
full
with-
screen
Doesn't it
time,
matter
not like
on
on
the
the set,
age,
but like
though?
full like actual filming. You get 15 minutes that they can be on screen. In terms of like in front of the cameras rolling, like getting takes.
continuously.
Yeah, continuously. Like it equals up
Oh.
to you have 15 minutes altogether. Not like it, not
Yeah,
cut into
like-
the movie, but like when you know like
No, I know. I don't know. I know they have laws about minors and stuff, but I just don't. I'm just find that dubious, knowing the film industry.
Yeah,
I guess, but I also know like they always said if you can avoid it, no kids, no animals, because they are not professionals. You can't reason with them.
well also you
can't
have to go through their
predict-
parents who may also try and.
You can't predict what they're gonna do. They're gonna cause delays. They're not gonna necessarily do what you want
Have
and
you
Yeah.
seen
take
Stranger
direction.
Things?
Yes.
Those kid actors are pretty good.
Yeah, and
I
Yeah,
really
but they're
like them.
they're getting into like the teenage years.
That's
which
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They actually care about it, whereas little
Yeah.
kids.
I
just
really
don't
liked the
take-
first season. That was really good.
but
Also, the new It that came out, those child
Yeah.
actors are really good too.
well, yeah, and I mean, there's no child actors included, so like it is a kind of
Yeah.
tangent, but yeah, the
Oh, yes.
whole baby thing.
With
there
the
is like-
animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let's talk about Ace Ventura now.
but
Love
so
Jim Carrey.
there's that part. Like there are those great shots of that. The other thing was, yeah, very subtle, very dry, and to the point where there are some jokes that reoccur, but no joke really lingers that much.
Yeah.
The
that's
jokes
what-
are quick and
I love
fast
that,
and
yeah.
done, and you better be paying attention if you want
Yeah,
to
and
get
like you're saying, like it's like British comedy where it's
Yeah.
just like boom, boom, boom.
If you watch
and I
like
love that.
yeah, if you watch like Blackadder, like Faulty Towers and that
Yeah,
stuff, there's
just
a
like-
lot of that, like
yeah,
just
like
quick
Snatch or
quips.
like oh man. What's
Oh
it
yeah,
called?
the other note I had was about Miss White and my favorite laugh. So let's go with that. First off, like, did you ever say your favorite character? No, I said
my favorite character?
Green, most interesting, and then probably favorite Miss White for those laughs. And then Rachel as well.
Man, I haven't thought about it. I'd probably say Mr. Green because I really like that ending, and then
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
Yeah.
It's Tim Curry.
I think Tim Curry
I
gets
don't
kind
know.
of put out of the running just because we already know.
I
it's
really
Tim
liked
Curry.
all of them. I mean, I never really thought about picking one that I truly
Yeah.
liked the most.
Was there any joke that like just hit you the hardest? You thought was the best ever?
The one that I keep on talking about, the one at the end.
Yeah,
where he's like,
I'm gonna go home and have sex with my wife.
Yeah,
like,
I thought that was so.
and that's exactly
funny.
where it stops too.
Yeah, yeah. I
Rachel,
loved
did
it.
you have one that was a favorite joke?
I just really liked Miss White's performance. at
Yeah,
the
The
end.
heaving.
Yeah,
And
that was so
the
funny.
line where when she was trying to explain why she killed Yvette.
Yeah.
Oh, so great.
That was probably my favorite moment, but there were a lot of like little puns and little like double negative stuff where someone
yeah.
misunderstand.
One of them actually
Where I'm
had the
just
word
like-
double negative used.
Exactly. Yeah, that whole misunderstanding of
Yeah.
Like,
like,
is there anyone else in that house?
yeah,
Oh,
is there or isn't there? Oh, so yes, you're sure, or yes, there's someone else in the
That's
house.
so
and
funny.
yeah, that was like
There's
stuff
so many-
like that. I
yeah.
just really appreciate it, and like I just like
It's
that's
just like smart writing.
smart.
Yeah. My favorite joke is not even a joke, it's just a bit from Miss White. Tim Curry's running all over the house. He's saying what's going on and everything. And he's getting really into character. And he gets to the part where then they turn the lights off and he shuts the lights off again. Everyone starts screaming. One person's like, "Oh God, not again!" And the lights turn back on. And Mr. Green goes up to him and is like, "Why would you do this?" And everything. And he goes and he says something to Miss White. And Miss White doesn't respond. She's just like, "Ha!" It's like,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I had to stop. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
the way she did it. Like she stays through like, ha.
Yeah.
Miss,
It's
she's
amazing.
definitely one of my favorite characters
Yeah,
too.
it's
She's
just
so
amazing
funny.
how she does it.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man,
perfectly
and that,
executed.
yeah, that's just. And again, like real quick, and no one acknowledges it. She's not even really in shock. She just doesn't respond, and that one just killed me real quick.
I think it's perfect too because that's kind of what you do to people who are like over animated, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, ah, and they're kind of all over the place, and you're like, ah, you know,
Yeah.
like you're going crazy. That's kind of what she does a little bit.
Yeah, and oh man, that just I really like that. I also really liked not so much a funny part, but like one of the most I really like is when the ending where Tim Curry is the guy who did it, and then Mr. Green does pull out the gun and shoots him, and Tim's like, "Not good shot," and he's sitting there, it's like, really good shot, dead. Just like, he sells it so well.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm mentioning here, John Landis is a producer on this, and also, I believe, one of the writers. John Landis did pretty much a lot of the big comedies of the time.
For writing?
And he also directed quite a few.
Okay.
Let's just go over John Landis and show.
IMDb page.
Oops.
Or Wikipedia.
I chose the wrong person.
John Landis.
Yeah. So Jonathan Lynn. John Landis wrote this one. He is best known for the comedy films he directed, such as Animal House, Blues Brothers, Trading Places, Three Amigos, Coming to America, and Beverly Hills Cop 3. He also directed the Thriller music video, the Black or White music video, and American Werewolf in London.
Oh, that's cool.
He is
I haven't seen a lot of those. I haven't seen American Wolf in London. I heard that's really
so
good, though.
Like,
I've seen the transformation.
Oh yeah, that's
that's like the top thing people.
It got an Oscar win. Like it won.
No, that was really good.
One of the few examples of horror movies winning Oscars is Exorcist, that, and now like Get Out. I guess are the only three I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah.
Shining not win anything?
No.
Or is that more of a thriller? Oh, really? It didn't win?
No.
I guess what was running in the same year as it?
Usually with stuff like that, it's like some bullshit movie no one remembers. Sadly. Like, it's really weird.
Because The Shining wasn't.
Like, for a long time. Like, nowadays, I think more so, a lot of times you'll get Oscar wins that, like, people do kind of remember and talk about. But there were some years where, like, there were some great, artsy, weird movies that, like, everyone remembers now. And just, like, lots of the worst
Well, that's why I was
shit.
really excited that, The Shape of Water won Best Picture.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that movie, and it was like sort of that weird.
Yeah, there were some pretty good nominations this year.
Yeah.
For stuff like that. It was like, I didn't expect to see nominated or even win.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Landis, huge, and it explains a lot. Like, despite Animal House being like a college one, it also has a lot of those like quick, dry jokes. Like, there's some other ones that are more overt, but like.
What is Animal House?
It's like
It's the quintessential college comedy movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about something else.
Right,
Yeah.
It's like where toga parties come
Yeah.
from almost.
And it's also got the scene where the guy's playing the guitar like really badly for the chicks at the party, and Belushi goes and grabs and just smashes it against the wall and then gives it back to him.
Okay.
It also has the really weird part where like they go to a bar, these two big
awesome.
black guys show up and like, can we dance with your dates? And like they like just let them do it. It's like it's a 70s movie, so like there's some weird stuff, but National Lampoon were behind it. Obviously Blues Brothers. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
Blues Brothers is based on an SNL skit, and it's two guys.
I've seen I'm familiar with like.
Has one of the biggest car chase scenes. Trading Places.
I don't think so.
That one's I think on the.
Is it like Freaky Friday?
More of like it's Prince and the Pauper, but it's
Prince and the Pauper.
In terms of like.
Yeah, like a prince or like a working class guy.
Mixed going into a rich social elite guy, and it's Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
Yeah. Three Amigos.
I actually have not seen that. I have not seen that movie.
Coming to America.
I have seen Coming to America.
You seen one of them.
Do you guys remember the guy? It's like a real short scene. It's like the guy who works in the stadium in Coming to America. He's like, I think he works in the stadium.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in such a long time.
Oh, man. I didn't watch that movie until I was like late college or something. But I was just watching that movie, and when was it made?
Coming to America was.
Early?
It was released in 1988, so it was probably made in
Okay.
87, 86, because that's how that works.
Yeah.
So there's like this character, and he's got like a short comedic role, and I'm just like, and it was one of my college professors.
Oh, wow. That's
I was
so
like,
awesome.
Who? Because it was like what, like 20 something years later,
Yeah.
so I didn't recognize him at first.
That is hilarious. Oh my god. Who's that?
It was like, what?
Just like, yeah.
It's like, did you guys watch the Netflix Daredevil?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love
The
that.
Reporter?
Ben Urich? Yeah.
Yeah, he was my college professor.
Nice!
Yeah.
Hey, you got connections.
I know, right?
It's a real shame. It's a real shame. Spoilers for Daredevil season 1, which has been out for a while. That they kill off the
I know.
the one
I know.
the one black guy who's like doing all the work and doing everything. They
so
just
awesome.
murder him outright.
Yeah,
I really
no,
like
he
Daredevil.
killed it.
Yeah. Well, if you never
Have you-
read
have
Daredevil,
you-
it's also consistently one of the
Have
better
y'all
comics.
seen the season 2 of Jessica Jones?
Yes, watch that.
So good.
Season
I
2 of
loved
Luke
it.
Cage is now coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm super pumped for that because
Yeah.
I love that.
Who was the bad guy in the first one, or like the antagonist? Not really. a bad
Originally,
guy.
in Luke Cage,
because I really liked him.
And the
like
first
him
antagonist?
as an actor.
in Luke Cage, Cottonmouth?
Yeah, Cottonmouth.
Marshall Ali,
I
the one who's
love
in
him.
Moonlight.
Yeah,
yes.
he's really good.
Which,
he's a great actor.
other spoilers, kill him off too.
Yeah.
Probably for the best because I don't think they could get him back since he did Moonlight. He's picking up big, which is great because he's a great
Also,
actor.
his character was kind of like, he's kind of done. You know,
Yeah,
so
like
just
there's-
move on to another
yeah,
story.
it's just a shame they moved on to Diamondback, and Diamondback, while I don't find him as egregious, is not quite as entertaining. But this new guy, Bushmaster, like, terrifying.
Yeah.
And just like walks up and then just like jump spin kicks Luke Cage and almost kills him. It's like, whoa. Another tangent, but
Yeah, remember how we were talking about Clue earlier?
yeah. Clue. That was so last.
Are they gonna make another Iron Fist? Is that?
I'm hoping that their plan is he just go straight to Heroes for Hire. So
Yeah.
in it.
Oh, I didn't.
And then we can get Daughters of the Dragon, which has Misty Knight and Colleen Wing. They team up a lot.
I don't even know who that is.
Colleen Wing and Misty Knight.
Oh no! Like, what was the title?
The title's Daughters of the Dragon. That's like
Yeah.
they're basically becoming a detective agency, but they have like the most badass name for a detective agency, Daughters of the Dragon. And it's like Misty Knight, which in like with her in the original comics, like big afro, the hoop earring, and the metal arm, and then Colleen Wing with like a samurai sword and like a tracksuit. Like, yeah, I'm all for that. I want to see those two do it because she's the best part in Iron Fist, and like,
Oh man, Iron Fist was just so bad. In my that's my opinion. Yeah.
you are free to like anything you want. We are also free to not like it. I don't like the thing, and I'm gonna go with
CBS
this
cares.
with Clue, using that as, to kind of loop it back together. But there is a thing where like you may not like the movie. It's very dry, it's very quick, and it's a different kind of comedy. And there is a thing, I just want to put this out there, that like just because you don't like a movie does not mean it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
What
But
really
if I don't like the movie, then it is a bad movie.
yeah,
So I
only
am-
if Dara
Yes.
He's
I-
the end all be all.
Yes, but like it
What I
really
say
pisses me off. I'll
goes.
hear someone say like, "Yeah, the movie just had terrible acting, this and that." I'm like, and then someone else can say it was great, and I'm like, "That's because it's art. You do
Yeah.
not. You are not the one
That's
who
why.
decides."
That's why I always tack on like in my opinion. If it's
Yeah.
not obvious
I
already.
Yeah,
like,
I always be like,
if it's
I didn't
coming
like
from
it.
me, it's
If you
obviously
like these things,
my
you might
opinion.
like it.
Yeah.
But like, we really need to stop just saying it's either the worst or the best, and there's no in between, and no one else can have an opinion. And if you think otherwise, you're stupid. Like, it really pisses me off. So, like, one, art does not have an objective. Like, you can objectively judge a film by how good is the production value, how good is the script, and like in terms of like following the rules of it. But that doesn't mean it's inherently good or bad. Art is subjective, as are most opinions and ideas. So you do not have any real say. And just blocking someone's opinion and being like, you're stupid.
See,
is really
I don't
annoying.
agree with that, Grant. I think you're pretty stupid. So.
Well, you are free to think that.
Because my opinion is fact, and so.
And that concludes this public service
Yeah,
announcement.
unless you have like a scientific fact sheet that scientists have been studying for like
Right,
a
see,
while.
that's when it gets annoying, is when people have wrong facts.
Fake
Yeah.
news.
Yeah. Well, also like I don't know if any other of you have ever looked at a YouTube comment section for movies.
Yeah.
They're so funny. YouTube comments are so funny. It's like-
I don't know.
I'm gonna get into one. I'm gonna get into a really weird and like bad one because I don't know.
We'll just cut it out if it's too.
Well, no, I'll
weird.
probably tackle this on at the end as like a tangent. Like those can be videos. People like that stuff.
I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, people love that stuff.
Especially like when like the title says something and like not talk about it or like talk,
Yeah,
about, it, like, talk about it for like a second just so you can like have some
Yeah.
clickbait or whatever.
But I don't know if either of you saw The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
No.
You didn't like
I
it?
didn't mind it.
You didn't mind it? I liked it.
I'm personally not like a huge like Star Wars fanatic.
Same.
So like was Last Jedi was the one that just came out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
the one
I-
that still has people saying like,
I
"Oh, see, Mark Hamill hates it." Like I'm just like, no, he doesn't. Like,
I really
if you don't like it, that's fine. Just
I
calm
don't.
down.
Yeah, no, I don't agree.
Like,
with
I don't
Mark
take-
Hamill hates it.
Well, like they bring up all these clips because he was the main thing is they're like, oh, they character assassinated Luke Skywalker. I'm like, do you mean the people who own the rights to it character assassinated their own character? That's not how that works.
But
Like
it's
if you own
like-
the character, it doesn't matter.
It's like I don't take Star Wars seriously.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
a space opera.
And it's like like the concept itself, and like it's just silly. It's like it's a weird.
It's
like
space
it's just
fantasy.
out there.
It was based on like a really ludicrous comic
Yeah,
idea.
and I love that they weren't taking themselves too seriously. Like when he's like drinking the milk from.
But
like,
the funny thing is,
fire.
the people who don't like it for the serious stuff of like, again, they're like, Luke Skywalker would never consider killing a kid. And like, have you seen the original trilogy?
See, I'm not
kinda
that
gets
big,
dark.
so I don't really even.
Yeah.
I don't even really see that. I really like the thematic element of it, just like how like what's his name Snoke. Like when they were in his like office or whatever, air quotes again.
Production
Like,
wise, yeah. I like
just
that.
like the thematic
It looks
view
cool.
of it, like his like soldiers were like all red and everything.
I just
like
want to hear
that.
what Rachel says because she's just over there like stewing in it.
Oh no, I'm just listening. It's been a while since I saw it, and I saw it when it first came out, and that's it. But and also, I just remember I was talking with my boyfriend about it, and we were like, he's a bigger fan than I am.
Yeah.
And at first, we were just kind of like stewing in the experience of it because it's a very experiential film, and so it was kind of like. It was, it was so epic all the time, blah, blah, and so it was kind of like, oh, how do I feel about it? And so we were kind of like left, and all we had was our impressions at first, and it was kind of like, I don't know. And then as we got to like talking about the parts, and that we started realizing like, yeah, what the fuck?
There's definitely a lot.
Yeah, there is some.
I just like, are you kidding me? And it's like, it just got to the point of, and because he's a bigger fan and he's like really good at taking those feelings and putting words to them, whereas I'm just kind of like, I feel this way, and don't ask me to put words to it.
Yeah.
Don't challenge me.
He's really good at it. So he was just saying all this stuff, and I was like, yes. So like, if he were here, he'd explain it perfectly. But for me,
Well, why isn't he here?
Yeah, get him on the phone right now.
If he's not here, I don't think he said it.
Yeah,
but like in terms of like the Snoke scene, I remember like, where did Snoke come from?
Yeah, I get the stuff
all
for people
that
like
stuff,
that.
and then like,
backdoor, I have no
and
idea.
then it was like Snoke is the most all-powerfulest
And then just-
thing
I
ever.
have no idea where it
exactly.
came from at
He's
all.
literally just like manipulating people without even moving, and then suddenly, just dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was
It was-
really cool though. Like
Well, see, the thing is, I
He
understand
tricked
both
him,
your
like,
feelings.
okay, I liked the way that he like was able to manipulate
No, I
his
can
thoughts
understand.
and stuff like that, but it was like they introduced a character without really telling us where he came
I'm
from
sure
or
if
anything.
you read all like the
And then it
books
was
and
just
stuff,
like,
you
and
know.
now he's dead, like,
Yeah.
Well,
and they
that-
made him out to be so powerful. He was going to be such a major player now.
Because I'm not so into Star Wars, I kind of like give them like, look, I don't really know where Snoke came from or anything like that.
But
So,
cool
like,
explosions, cool.
Yeah, it's
like,
like,
yeah,
Right,
it's-
and
it's
like
entertaining. It's like not gonna
like,
be. I'm not gonna recommend the movie to anyone.
potential
but it's fun.
toy sales and
Yeah.
products.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
like it.
that's always
That's
it.
it. Was just like those cute
I
little
will say,
things
though-
of just like, okay, put a few cute
Just put a bow
animal
on
moments, but like, okay, we get it.
it. Yeah, like those new animals
You're
that
gonna
they
make it
introduced.
so that children all over the world scream and cry until
That's
their
part of it,
parents
yeah.
buy them a little
I will
bird
say,
toy.
to be fair to
that
that,
bird thing that they.
to be fair to that,
Bird gerbil
the
thing.
third Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, introduced the Ewoks. And that was also done for that. And that's why that
Yeah.
was the least good of the original three. I'm sorry.
But
you-
didn't the
have you
Ewoks
seen-
perform some kind of narrative function?
Have you seen the
Did
Ewok?
they?
A little bit.
They showed up to help the
They
plot.
helped.
But the thing is,
They fought for.
they didn't need
they
to help the
fought.
plot for it to work. And also it's really weird because they're introduced, and unlike the little things in Last Jedi where they're like, oh, it's a cute thing, that's it. They introduced those bears, but they also like imply that those bears are cannibals and like horrifying. Yeah.
Oh man.
They're supposed to be terrifying. I'm just like,
Have you seen like the Ewok Christmas special?
Oh,
it's
whoa.
so stupid.
but like I totally understand.
It's like the
yeah.
funniest thing in the world, like just watching it.
I understand
It's
your
like, what
feelings
is
on Last
this?
Jedi. I don't
Oh, yeah.
think it's amazing, but like,
no.
but like, there's stuff I really like and
Oh,
stuff I don't. But
there's-
like,
there-
whoa,
There's some
people.
concepts that are really cool, like when like she hyper speeds the ship into the other ship to destroy it.
which like
That's
logically
fucking
may not like
awesome.
make the most sense given what the
Yeah.
movie told you, but it looked cool.
Like that was
And
really
I mean,
awesome.
we have space magic, so I don't think the laws of science apply a lot.
What?
Also, the prequels are still kind of worse. Like, Revenge of the
Yeah,
Sith, I think is the best of those. Their main problems are just
I know
boring.
they're notorious.
For me, they're just kind of boring. Like
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones has like all these big political ideas, but like they're not really.
Aren't they making a new what's that guy's name in the first one? In the first one, the antagonist, the one with the red.
Oh, Darth Maul.
Aren't they making a Darth Maul movie?
That might have been a plan somewhere. He's been in like the shows and stuff.
I think I saw something about it.
His
I will say, like, something that I didn't like about The Last Jedi was, like, at the end, when they're, like, all the kids are, like touching into the Force, and, like, you see, like, another race of Jedi coming, and, like
it's really sad.
And then, I'm just like, oh, just shut up, just end it, please. And then, like, Rey's, like, oh, this is just the beginning of the rebellion. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, damn it, it's like, another 3.
I'm just like, shit, this is so stupid.
I will say, you know what?
I really dislike that.
My thing
really
is,
don't like
you
that
really
at all.
didn't have to continue
that
the
kind
story.
That kind of like just
like Star Wars is a Star Wars. It's a universe.
Yeah.
Go like to another galaxy.
I know.
Do something cool with it.
Well, it's just like, I mean, that's why I really liked when they like revitalized Star Trek when J.J. Abrams like made the movie, and they like kind of like revamped it
even
in
with
sort
Next
of like
Generation
a new
too.
way.
Next Generation did that as well.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's a whole new thing.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
But the original thing about YouTube comments.
Yeah,
We got 3 tangents for the price of one.
Back to the main thing that we're.
So Last Jedi, YouTube comment.
So overall, Last Jedi, all right, as we are.
For me, it's like, yeah, if you if you're just looking for fun. Like,
yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool parts to it.
Yeah,
There's
like,
also like I can understand.
Yeah, I get it.
Not fully
parts
understanding
where-
like character development, like characters
I
don't
also,
seem that developed.
yeah.
And, like
Also, I
it seems
feel
like it's a whole loop
maybe
over
that's
and over
my
again.
preference to movies, like movies that are just epic fight scene after epic fight scene after explosion after giant emotional crescendo. Like I'm just like 3 hours later, okay, great. Like
So you didn't like Infinity War, I take, because that's what that movie is.
Infinity.
I loved Infinity
See?
War.
Infinity War.
But it's the same deal. Action,
You're
action,
right, you're
emotional
right.
crescendo.
But it was.
Yeah, but
It's
feel
how-
more
I don't know.
attached
It worked better for me.
But
in
did you feel
Infinity
more
War.
attached to the characters in Infinity War?
Yes.
Because there's more development for the
Yes,
characters.
I
'cause they're-
did.
Yeah, that is the one thing I'll say is
they're
Last
actually-
Jedi doesn't develop
actually
the
good.
new cast that much. Again, the only thing I was like really big on in Last Jedi was the thing a lot of people hate, and that was Luke Skywalker.
Drinking milk.
No, like the whole idea, because like
Yes, that one thing.
that I really love it. And everyone hated it. I don't know why.
I just don't.
I
say
like
how to
milk.
drink
Why do you-
the milk.
I just love how they make like they understand like they're so silly and it's just like I love when they can poke fun at themselves.
But my thing with
is
that
so
was
funny.
I've always had people were like he's a paragon of good. I always when I watched the original like he's a brat in the first one,
Yeah.
and then he like gets into his own. But he still like sacrifices his stuff for his friends, which sounds noble, but also maybe not good for the rest of the world.
Mhm.
Like he never was a paragon of good. He was always a conflicted hero, and I like that.
I like that too because I hate like choosing sides between like Jedi and like Sith because they seem like they're both two extremes.
Yeah.
And what I really wanted in this movie was like because it was like The Last Jedi and they were like sort of dismantling like the Jedi Order or whatever. I really thought that was interesting, but then at the end when they're like all these kids are like getting in touch with their Jedi powers,
Which
it's
is very
like,
much the Disney ending, like.
yeah, it's just like
And
like,
you
the
two
rebellion-
can be an
the
old
rebellion's
Luke
gonna
in
start
like a
again.
cave drinking milk.
It just
if you want
feels
to be.
like nothing really happened, you know?
Yeah.
There's no one learned anything. Everything's just gonna cycle again. And
The
so
whole-
that's the main reason I don't like it, but it is a cool movie.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I'm not going to
That's
like.
why I.
Hey, Rey reached ultimate powers suddenly, so that
Yeah,
was
she
I
can
do-
move rocks. She became an earthbender.
Yeah.
She became
Have you
an
not seen
earthbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, I love Avatar.
I
It's
love
great.
it. Oh, have you seen the movie though?
Oh no!
I couldn't even.
Ha! And then the rock just like
I
slide.
couldn't. Yeah, I
It's
couldn't.
so bad.
Oh my gosh, I could not watch it at all.
But so,
It's so bad.
it's funny because like the stuff in Last Jedi that people are like kind of don't really talk about are the things that like we're talking about that I
Yeah.
don't really care one way or the other for.
Mhm.
The stuff I like though, one I like that Rey parents are nobody because I like the idea of like you
They
don't like because
talk about them, yeah.
they briefly say like they were just junkers, they sold you, like they're not
Yeah.
anyone special
It's
because
just
like
waiting for them
it's
on the planet.
speaking of Avatar, the whole
Yeah.
thing there of like and that it's he was the chosen one, he didn't want to be
Yeah.
because like I want to be a kid, and this is
Which
the case
is
of,
natural.
yeah, and this
That's
is the case of like the Harry Potter thing of like
yeah.
you want to be just normal, and they're like
Yeah, you want
no,
to-
but in this case Rey's the opposite. She wants to be somebody, she wants to be special, she wants to be something,
Yeah.
and then finding out her parents don't matter. The whole thing I was like, well, that leads to the thing of like you're right, but it doesn't matter who they are, it matters who I am. And